Director of Coalition of Management, Mr. Diriwan, respected faculty members, and my dear friends. A very good morning to you all. I welcome you to this special session of Ribandar Talks. Today, we are celebrating a 1 year of existence. From humble beginnings, we have gone on to get great speakers to address to us and share their experiences with us. Now, I would like to welcome Professor Sarita D'Souza to take us through the evolution of Ribandar.
Faculty and our future managers. It is a privilege to share with you the vision of the Ribandar Talks. This is the first anniversary of the student-led and student-driven initiative. When we are faced with difficult choices, our judgment and our people sense is something that we usually rely on, and this is what most leaders express. Now, the dictionary defines judgment as the ability to form sound decisions and sensible, considered opinions. So, when there was this group of students of the present batch of 2006, the batch which will soon pass out, initiated by the thought process which Mr. Jamshyd Godrej had, ably supported by gentlemen and ladies who are in this audience, Mr. Jamshyd Godrej, Amartya Sen. I probably missed out a couple. But this was an idea which was conceived by this group and implemented by this group. And the objective of this group was that the GIM community would have an exposure to thoughts expressed by leaders of industry. And our judgment would accordingly be enhanced because we're looking at perspectives beyond our own. We are grateful to the 15 thought leaders. These are leaders who have come from different sectors in industry and academia, sectors like manufacturing, media, finance, and they have given of themselves and of their time and shared with us their perspective. And we are really grateful to them for that. Our interaction with our leaders in our organizations is usually dominated by work-related issues and concerns. So we rarely make the time to actually draw on the immense amount of experience and perspective that they have in holding our judgment. And it was the effort and initiative of the student community to make the most of the talent that is available, to be able to, as a student community, learn from them in a non-work situation and enhance our thinking accordingly. So the Ribandar Talks is an opportunity for us to engage our minds with the likes of Mr. Godrej, Mr. Thakurkar, and with the other eminent leaders whom we've had in the past. And as we celebrate this first anniversary of we look forward to an ongoing development of our judgment through this ongoing continued learning from thought leaders in industry and to sustaining an ongoing relationship with industry. That is for us the vision of the
Now we'll have a short presentation. we need an introduction to our esteemed speaker today. I kindly request Mr. Dilima to listen.
Mr. Jamshyd Godrej, who's with us present today, graduated in mechanical engineering from the Illinois Institute of Technology in Chicago. He's currently chairman and managing director of Godrej and Voice Manufacturing Company, president of the World Wide Fund for Nature, India, chairman of Foundation of Medical Research, Aspen Institute, India, trustee of the Royal Bombay Yacht Club, Sea Cadet Council, Shiksha, India, former president of the Confederation of Indian Industry, All India, Indian Machine Tool Manufacturers Association. Most importantly, for us, he was in the first board of governors of the Goa Institute of Management. And the time when many policies were first formulated. The Jamshyd and Firoz Godrej family and their children are great nature lovers, and they are fond of the outdoors. They are particularly fond of sailing, and that's how Jamshyd has come here from Bombay to Goa in his yacht. And he does this quite often, and he was wondering how the hell we had come to know that he was on his way, because he had come quite unannounced. But I won't call it espionage, but the system of Goa Institute of Management, I have nothing to do with it. The students have found out, and they just requested that we must have this function. If it is not convenient for Mr. Godrej to have it in the evening, we'll have it at the time that is convenient to him. So we very much wanted to have you here. And so without any more ado, I will request Mr. Godrej to speak to us for a short while, not a full-scale Ribandar talk, because we haven't given him a chance to prepare, so this is completely extempore. So he will speak to us on a subject of his choice.
Dr. Sulima, faculty, students, friends. First of all, I greatly appreciate being with you this morning. As I told you, I said, I don't know how you found out that I was here, because I don't tell anybody. Because I have lots of friends at Goa, and I know that the moment I say that I'm coming, then I have a big problem because of who to go to and who not to go to. So this time I said I'll keep it very quiet, because yachting is my hobby, and I do the Bombay-Goa trip quite often. It's a great relaxation, and that's what I enjoy. So that's how I'm here in Goa. And I think you were very kind to say that I was on the board of the Goa Institute of Management, but I have to admit that I never was able to attend a single meeting. So whatever you've done it on your own. I had no contribution to it. And
You did attend one meeting.
Did I? You know, I thought that I would just have a chat with you on something that is very sort of close to me and close to my heart, which is to do with how we look after our natural resources and our ecosystems, the environment, and what is it that's necessary to do by society in general, and the type of awareness that I think we need to create much more of in our country. I don't know how many of you know what percentage of our freshwater resources in India are taken up by agriculture. Does anyone have the answer? You think it's more than 90%, more than 80%, more than 70%? You know, it's very interesting because over 85% of the entire freshwater ecosystems that exist in India today are taken up by agriculture. And out of that, over 80% of that goes in just 3 crops, which is rice, sugarcane, and cotton. And these are what we call thirsty crops. And this is where I think bright minds, management students, everybody can contribute, because fresh water is actually the most crucial element that we will have to face as we go forward. We have water shortages now almost everywhere. And the overuse of groundwater in agriculture, the overuse in major towns and cities because of poor systems of use and sanitation. These are the crucial issues that we are all going to face coming forward. Power is something you can generate. You have a generator, you have some fuel, you can generate power. But water is so crucial that India completely depends on rain, on the snow, Himalayas, on the melting snows, and you know, this is a very, very crucial resource. And I think that the research that we have done in our country, not enough research and work has gone into understanding where agriculture can really play a significant role in our economy. As you may know that in the GDP, agriculture now, since 49, agricultural as a percentage of GDP has come down every single year, and it keeps coming down. And so we have a system now where agriculture accounts for about 20-24% of GDP. But you have 80%, 70 to 80% of Indians who live by agriculture. So you're going to have a huge mismatch between opportunity for gainful employment for these people and the fact that productivity in agriculture keeps going up, so it needs fewer people and you're going to have. So, and water is the most crucial aspect. Now, if, for instance, you could, by technology, have 3 crops of rice in a year with the same water that you will have just 1 crop of rice with, it can completely change the agricultural scene. I mean, these are the sort of things that we have to talk about. So, I am really worried that I find that, for instance, in WWF, when we look for agricultural scientists to work on our programs, you know, the type of agricultural scientists that are being trained today, management students who are being trained today, the awareness of these type of issues is still very, very low and very poor. Agricultural scientists, they want to do biotech and research in genetically modified crops, and but the crucial thing of how do you grow rice with 1/4 or 1/5 the water that you use today is not being addressed. And these are the sort of things. Now we really should understand that sugarcane has the potential to substitute petroleum. In Brazil already almost all the cars are run on a combination of ethanol and petroleum. And more technology is going into this area. So the demand for these items like ethanol is going to just rapidly grow, because as the price of petroleum goes up, and I don't see any alternative to that. So here you're going to have a huge demand for sugarcane and other ethanol producing agricultural products, which all requires enormous amounts of water. And everywhere in the world, water is one of the most highly subsidized items. In fact, in India, water is free. No farmer is ever charged for water. Government spends huge amounts of money on providing the entire irrigation system. They make huge dams, You know the story of the Ribandar Dam in Gujarat. I don't have to repeat that story. But it's so shocking that we don't understand that what are both the monetary resources as well as the time and effort that goes into providing fresh water. And here is a public good that nobody appreciates because it's not priced. So I think that this is what we have to all think about is how are we going to create pricing mechanisms for water and other so-called public goods that if you don't create that pricing mechanism, nobody is ever going to appreciate it. The moment you give free power to farmers, what do? They keep their pump sets running 24 hours a day. Okay, because water in any case is free, they're not paying for it, they're not paying for the power, so why bother? Just keep it running. Okay, it depletes groundwaters, it has its own cycle of damage because of depletion of groundwaters, the injection of pesticides, fertilizers, etc. into soil. Very few people realize that, for instance, cotton, which is one of these three thirsty crops, is the highest user of pesticide in the country. Cotton, because cotton it's very easy for cotton to get infected with small insects and other insects which basically eat into the cotton plant. But so you have high amounts of chemicals being put in, lots of water being used. That whole cycle is just disaster. And these are the sort of things that we are not paying enough attention to. And frankly, I am always trying to tell young people that yes, you have your career in front of you. Yes, you have to earn money in order to be able to provide the type of lifestyle you would like to have. But at some stage in your life, now or later, these are the crucial issues that should concern you and you should be getting involved. And I think getting involved is actually not something that I would recommend for any of you to do on a full-time basis unless you're really interested in this, because the NGO sector, as long as you're prepared to live in villages and do the type of pioneering work required to make all these things happen, you don't have to do that. You can contribute by your effort in raising awareness, in bringing out the issues, getting involved as public citizens. I think the citizens of our country, I think know the issues in the sense that the newspapers are always full of it, the TV is always full of it. But the reaction after that is not there. We should see many more citizens' movements happening for these type of issues when we're not seeing them. And I think that this is where I always feel that young people need to get involved much more in understanding where we are going as far as these issues are concerned. Now, we're all in Goa. Goa in many ways is a maritime state. It was discovered by the Portuguese, and you know the whole history of Goa. Seafaring people, fishermen, and other people. So what have we done to preserve our marine environment? The huge coastline of India today, we have almost all the marine preserved areas, the marine sort of preservation areas where marine life is preserved as a natural resource. It just doesn't exist. And the whole thing of how do you manage fisheries, for instance. What is the scientific way to do it? I don't know if any of you have ever seen charts showing what has happened to fish stocks all over the world, including India, over the last 50 years. There was a time when natural fish stocks, I'm not talking of farmed fish, but natural fish stocks was the mainstay for fishermen and for fishing. And it has depleted to 5% of what it was globally over the last 50 years. So you can just imagine how much overfishing there has been. The scientific way is that for 3 months of the year when fish spawn, you don't go fishing. But what you do basically is that you allow the fish to regenerate,
you control the nets, you control how many people go out fishing. These are the sort of things that if we don't do, we are going to see a huge, we've already seen the 95% depletion in marine stocks. We're going to see much more of it. And as a result of this, what is happening here is that businesses are now going into farming fish, farming shrimp, etc. And these are not always done in highly sustainable ways. They are highly polluted. Every scientific study has shown that salmon, which is a highly desirable fish, for instance, especially in Western countries, the wild salmon stocks just don't exist anymore. And almost all the salmon you buy in supermarkets is from the farmed salmon. And when you analyze that salmon, the farm salmon, they find there are heavy metals, large quantities of heavy metals, and all types of other pollutants, which eventually lead to carcinogenic materials, and in human beings then lead to cancer. So I think we haven't understood that when we exploit things, the way whether it is water, whether it is fisheries, that this is what's going on. So I think our concern in India is that if businesses, if citizens don't take a great amount of, not just a great amount, but much more interest and get involved in these type of major issues, I think we're going to really have an enormous problem. We have 1 billion people to feed. Today our per capita consumption of whether it is food or anything else is minute in comparison to what happens all over the world. So you can imagine that as people get more affluent, and they will have a greater demand for goods and services, etc. And the chain, as it is, we are already under enormous pressure. That pressure is only going to increase. So, there's just not enough. We have to have development. CII, I've been the president of CII. Development is our motto. But you cannot have development unless it is for the people. And when you say it is for the people, it means it has to be for their health, for their well-being, etc. And this is the cycle that is the most crucial thing for us. The next major challenge for India is actually going to be in the state of Orissa. You may have read some newspaper reports about tribals who are in the iron ore belts and the bauxite belts and the coal belts of Orissa. Orissa is actually one of the most rich biodiverse states that we have in India. It has a huge amount of forests, it has natural resources in the ground, marine resources, huge coastline. The turtles, the olive ridley turtle off the Orissa coast is one of the most endangered species of turtles. So, this is where the challenge is going to come. Businesses are wanting to develop the mines, they want to develop the bauxite resources. And the tribals are saying, what's in it for us? And they've already started protesting. I know that Goa has had its share. But Goa is just a microcosm of what's going to happen in Orissa. Because everybody who has deep pockets in the mining industry globally wants to be in Orissa. And the simple suggestion that was made by us and another coalition of NGOs was that for every ton of natural mineral that is mined, you create a special fund. Okay, this fund should not be controlled by the government. It should be controlled by citizens, people who have a stake, the people of Orissa, the people who have a stake, others who can contribute in some way, and use that money, because it can be an enormous fund. Use that money for development of tribals, for development of, when you say development of tribals, it means education, healthcare, opportunities, small industry, whatever. And use the money for environmental protection. How do you protect forests when you want to do mining at the same time? How do you protect marine life when you're going to have enormous amounts of shipping to and fro? Because the 2-3 main ports, Damra Port, Paradip Port, etc., and Orissa, these are going to be, the tonnage that goes in and out of them are going to grow 100 times in the next 10 years. Because every major mining company in the world wants to mine the iron. So these are the type of challenges that we have. So when we talk of industry, when we talk of development, what are we really talking about? And that's the whole cycle of sustainability has to be, I think, and you're leaving the Goa Institute of Management. You're going to go out and contribute to business, to industry, to finance, etc. And this is where I think if you bring that consciousness, that awareness, that development has to be done for the people. I think this is the most crucial. If we can actually get that understood by everybody, then I think we can then say that things are going to change. Let me give you the example of China and India. As you know, China, non-government organizations in China are banned because most of those were politically oriented. So even environmental NGOs like WWF, etc., are also sort of not looked upon too favorably in China. But the interesting thing is that the Chinese leadership have understood in the last couple of years, they have created a China Council on Sustainability. And at the highest level, from the president and the entire Politburo of the Chinese Communist hierarchy, they are now personally sitting in the China Council on Sustainability and talking about what China needs to do and how it has to be done in order because they've had massive problems. They've had huge floods, they've had land erosion, they've had, you name it, they've had the problem in China from natural resources. The most recent one, as you may have read, was a chemical plant which has a spill in the river. And people didn't realize that river actually goes from China into Russia and then goes out into the North Pacific. And that chemical spill, I think, really sort of raised very, the awareness was raised in region because in China and in India, these are the sort of things that people don't really understand. But China has now taken at the highest political level that this is no more possible. We have to change. And in India, where NGOs are very, very active, where there are huge pressure points on governments, where people can speak their mind without fear, the press is free, we write about it, we talk about it, but we don't do it. And this is the most crucial. I think as citizens, we have to find out what is it that it takes to make politicians, no matter which party they are from, what is it that it takes to make politicians understand these issues and actually start working on it? I think this is the type of thing that you need to get involved in. Because I think if our citizens don't get involved in these type of crucial issues, we will have a major problem. Because we don't see today in India that at the political level there is enough for them to do as far as, there's tons for them to do, but they are not doing it for a variety of reasons. It's not that they don't know about it, it's not that they don't understand it, they just not doing it. Now you take the case of tigers. Rajasthan actually has one of the highest tourist potentials in India. Tourists come to Rajasthan for the grandeur of Rajasthan, for the palaces, for the forts, but also for the natural environment and tigers. And the tiger reserves in Rajasthan, everybody has been just hiding the figures of population of tigers. Actually, we say there are 3,500 tigers in India. I am absolutely certain that there are less than 500. Because nobody is honestly going out and saying what is obvious. You walk into a forest today and you will not see a tiger. There is no tiger seen in Sariska now for the last 3 years. Ranthambore tiger population has come down drastically. Many tourists who go to Rajasthan, they don't see tigers. So this, when we talk of tigers, it's just sort of the tip of the iceberg, because that's what tells you the state of the natural environment. So I think this is the really crucial area. People, we really do have to get involved in much more. And I find that when I try to recruit young people out of college to go into these issues, there's a lot of interest, but it wanes very, very quickly. So I would only encourage you to get involved, be more proactive, learn more. I think very often part of the problem is the information, the factual information, the knowledge that needs to be there and properly spread out is not there. Communication is a major tool that you learn in college about how to communicate, why you have to communicate, the power of communication. But I think we in the business world, we just haven't paid enough attention to these issues. So that's my short message for you. I think that if we can get large numbers of young people in our country involved in these issues, I think we can make a difference. We have to pressurize the politicians, the bureaucrats, those who have the power and the ability to make a change, and use that pressure effectively for future generations. Because I think that, for instance, in WWF, our slogan is a very nice slogan. It says, leave a living planet for your children. So do you want to leave a dead planet or a living planet? I mean, that's the sort of, this is the sort of thing that we have to say all the time. And if we can do that, if we can get that message across, I think it will be a great power for change for the better. By the way, it's not just India and China. This is a problem everywhere in the world. Even in the most developed countries of the world, like the United States, there are major battles going on right now on these type of issues. For instance, you take the entire Arctic. There are significant oil reserves under the Arctic. Should they be brought out or not? This is something that concerns civil society in the US today. There's a huge debate on it. And oil companies are very much for it. And there are plenty of NGOs and other lobby groups who are very much against it. In Sakhalin, the Sakhalin is the east corner of Russia, in the Arctic area. Sakhalin has one of the highest concentrations of grey whale, and it's a breeding ground, it's a spawning ground for grey whale. Grey whale is the most common whale in the Pacific. And Shell and a consortium of 4 or 5 Japanese companies have gone into Sakhalin. It's a very, very, the winters are extremely severe there. So they have a very short window in which to do anything. But they have gone in there. Over the last 15 years, they have built oil exploration and extraction facilities. And it is now clearly documented that has completely reduced the grey whale population in the North Pacific, only because their spawning grounds have been affected. Now, 15 years ago, the World Bank and you name it, all the big financial institutions of the world, financed Shell and all these companies to do it, even though there were plenty of reports on the table at that time that this is what's going to happen. So I'm sure some of you will join some sort of financial institution. We have the ex-chairman of State Bank here. But the point is that when you look at something like that, what are you going to say? That the company which goes in and asks for the financing, yes, they will give you wonderful projections. But can you say that that money put in today is going to be a force for good 15, 20, 50 years down the road? Or is there a big question now? These are the types of things that we will have to grapple with in the business world. I think it's the time has passed for us if we don't see the critical importance of these type of issues as we go forward in business. So I know that all of you are dying to get into the business world, and I'm dying for you to all get into the NGO world.
But I think somewhere we have to meet.